and some people die.
That's the opening of the VH1 video from Bruce Springsteen's song, Nebraska. It was the writing and recording of that song that illustrates the chapter in Springsteen's life dramatized in the new movie about him, Deliver Me from Nowhere. In that film, Springsteen reads about a haunting murder from 1958, a murder spree in Nebraska that inspires the title track to his Nebraska album.
Wow, I didn't know this whole history,
Yes.
Jim. This is interesting. So attorney John Stevens Berry co-authored a book about that rampage titled The 12th Victim, The Innocence of Caril Fugate in the Starkweather Murder Rampage. This is about the teenage girlfriend who accompanied the killer, Charles Starkweather, on his murderous frenzy. And John Stevens Berry joins us now live. John, thank you for being here. Can you just give us a very quick summary of that murder spree and what happened?
Yes, and I'm going to start out, if I may, by correcting you. She was not his girlfriend. She had dated him briefly. She got rid of him. He killed her parents and her little sister. He stuck a shotgun in her face and took her as a hostage. She was not alone. His song goes, "Her and me had fun." She didn't have fun. She was a hostage. And this has been proven, I have to say this, by polygraphs, in deep hypnosis, and external evidence, including the fact that she had a note on her saying who he was and please rescue. And when she escaped him, when she ran away from him, when she ran away from the car to a police car and said who he was, they arrested her. And she, at age 14, was the youngest person ever to be charged with first-degree murder. And when the Wyoming police got her, they had the note that said this she had been wanting to pass. "This is Charles Starkweather. Call the police." And they testified under oath that they saw it, and they sent it to the Lincoln prosecutors. And it never got into the courtroom, and it never got to the defense counsel. F. Lee Bailey had a program, lie detector. He put her on. She passed. She was a hostage. Deep Ericksonian hypnosis. She was a hostage. And yet they locked her up in a woman's mental hospital. They made her watch women undergoing shock treatment. They grilled her. They had a 156-page grill. And remember, this is 1958, before Miranda, before people had all the rights they have now. She asked for a lawyer. It didn't show up in the transcript, but the court reporter was put under oath, and she said, oh, yes, she did ask for a lawyer. But it was just one of those things that didn't get into court. And so she was finally paroled because she was such a model prisoner that they turned her loose. Every day she'd go into town and work with people, do charitable work. She had the keys to the jail to let herself back in. And on her 15th birthday, she was allowed to scrub the floor of her jail cell. This is the most brutal treatment of a victim witness in American history. And so the song says, "Me and her, we had a good time, we had fun." No, she did not have fun.
So, John, how did this get on Springsteen's radar? I know it's depicted in the film. During some time, he was spending a lot of time alone in his home, and he saw a movie. Tell us about that.
Well, of course, yeah, I did see the movie, and I'm familiar with the song, and yeah, he was a person who obviously had difficulties in his life, and for some reason, the depth and despair of this song, of this story, appealed to him. But you know, Keith tells us beauty is truth, truth, beauty. But sometimes art is not true. Sometimes art is an absolute mistruth. And in the song, he says, not only did they have fun, but she should have sat on his lap in the electric chair. He convicted her on his way to the electric chair because he had been promised that if she got convicted, he wouldn't go to the electric chair. How do I know that? A gentleman named Glazer, who was a cellmate, filed a sworn statement to that effect. Everybody knew that. But politically in Nebraska and emotionally, it was important to everyone that she be convicted. Think of what happened. One of the prosecuting attorneys became attorney general. One of them got on the state Supreme Court. The judge who had heard Starkweather had tried Starkweather's case, and then rather than recuse himself, tried this case. He got on the Nebraska Supreme Court. The other member of the prosecution got to be a district judge. They were all rewarded, but she was railroaded. It even turned out that one of the jurors had bet someone $1 that she'd get the electric chair. This was the most unfair trial. Now remember, 1958, all of us think about what we know about adolescent psychology. All of us think about what we know about people's rights to have an attorney. None of those cases had come along by then. And she was brutalized. They found a letter to her mother in the table by her bed that said, "Mom, why don't you come and visit me?" She didn't know that he had murdered her mother and her father and her little sister and stuffed their bodies in an outbuilding. He told her that they were held by his gang, and if she didn't go along peacefully, he'd have them killed. She believed, and the first jailer's wife made us that statement. This woman doesn't know that her family's been murdered. She didn't know it. And so she was held as a hostage. And I think she's alive. Caril Fugate's alive. She's a human being. And this song, "Well, we had us a good time, and she should have sat on my lap in the electric chair." I'm sure it's a good song. I've heard the song. I've seen the movie. It's made a lot of people, I'm sure, happy. But the fact is, this is a human being who was treated not as a victim witness as she would be today, but this is 1958. 14 years old, the youngest person ever charged with first-degree murder.
Wow, John, your passion for this is so illuminating for the rest of us. My gosh, this is the story that you tell is just incredible of what this young woman had to endure, all of the trauma and re-trauma. Have you ever had a chance to communicate with Bruce Springsteen about any of this?
No, I never have. I have spent a lot of time with Caril, and as has my wife. And we went before the Board of Pardons. She's been on parole, but she wanted to be pardoned because she wants to go to the Lord with a clean record. Their health is failing, and the Nebraska Board of Pardons simply said, "We don't care. We're not going to hear you. We're not going to bother." And that's kind of politically in Nebraska. It's still it's still important to say that Caril was guilty, even though she passed all the polygraphs. And F. Lee Bailey on his lie detector test wanted her to flunk. He had her take it 4 or 5 times. She passed every time. And the deep hypnosis and the note that she had written that somehow disappeared, all of her attempts, and the fact she escaped. She saw a police car. She jumped out of the car. She ran in a zagged pattern to get to the cops. She said, "At last, I'm free of Charles Starkweather. There he is. Get him." So, of course, they charged her with first-degree murder. Gave her a lawyer and had a 168-page grilling of her.
Well, I mean, John, thank you for joining us. Thank you for explaining all of this. I look forward to reading this book now and to learning and to watching the Showtime documentary. I want to just know more about this case. John Stevens Berry, thank you very much for all of the background and for defending her so vociferously. We really appreciate you being here.